You don't hear the war at first. You feel it. It starts as a silence. The harbor that used to roar with engines and shouts now only echoes with the slap of water against wood. Cranes stand frozen. Ropes hang loose. And you, standing on the deck of a small, tired boat, stare at a horizon that no longer promises work. That's where you meet Tomás. He's not a hero, not a soldier. He's a boatman, a man of calloused hands and quiet routines. Move cargo from here to there, get paid, go home. Simple, honest. Until the roads close. Until the ports shut down. Until maybe next week becomes, we don't need you anymore. Debts don't care about war. They still knock. The landlord doesn't take patriotism as payment. The market woman doesn't hand out charity twice. So Tomás learns a new sound, the hollow echo of empty pockets. And in that echo, something else slips in: shame. Shame when he avoids the baker's eyes. Shame when he hesitates before opening his own front door, unsure if it will be a friend or someone coming to collect. Then, one evening, as the sky folds into gray, a man steps out from the shadows of the pier. A quiet proposal. A simple offer. A job. No manifest. No paperwork. A sealed crate. A hidden route. Good money. Cash. Up front. No questions. And, most importantly, no talking. Tomás doesn't ask what's inside. Hunger is already answering for him. He takes the job. The month is saved. But a new price appears. One that doesn't come printed on any receipt. Silence. As you watch Tomás push off into the mist, ask yourself, how many times have you taken just one deal, just one loan, just one fee? Because saying no felt more dangerous than saying yes? If this story already feels uncomfortably familiar, stay with me. You're about to discover how Tomás' shadowy routes during war look disturbingly like your financial paths today. Before we dive in, tell me in the comments, what's one small financial decision that ended up costing you more than you expected? And if you want to follow Tomás' journey and maybe rewrite your own, go ahead and subscribe. This is only the beginning. You don't start this story in glory. You start in mud. Your boots are damp. Your hands smell of river water and old rope. For years, you ferried crates and sacks along calm currents, a modest life that at least made sense. You knew who you were, what you did, and how much it put on the table. Then the war tightens its grip. Roads are closed. Bridges guarded. Ports half deserted. The usual calls stop coming. One day without work becomes 3. 3 become 10. A month passes and the silence in your house grows louder than any gunshot at the front. The bills don't care about the war. They arrive anyway. Ink on paper, deadlines like ticking bombs. You start to delay payments, to shuffle excuses the way some people shuffle cards. Next week. Soon. I'm waiting on a job. Inside, the shame begins to whisper. You notice the way the grocer's eyes linger a bit longer when you say, "Put it on my tab." You hear your own voice shrink when someone knocks at the door. Is it a neighbor? Or a collector? Even the sound of footsteps in the hallway can make your chest tighten. And then, one evening, someone appears with an offer. No uniform, no badge. Just a man with careful eyes and a carefully neutral smile. He lays it out in a low voice. A special job, off the record. Cargo that must not exist, traveling along routes that no longer officially operate. No questions, no receipts, no witnesses. The amount he offers could clear a month's worth of worries in a single trip. You feel that strange mix of relief and nausea. It's the same feeling you get when you sign a contract you haven't fully read or accept terms you don't truly understand, just to stop the pressure for one more week. You tell yourself, just this once. Have you ever done that? Taken the just this once solution, knowing deep down it wasn't really a solution? If this story is already touching something familiar in your own life, stay with it. Hit the like so you don't lose this thread, and let me ask you, where have you traded silence for survival? Because as you'll see, this first trip is not the end of your trouble, it's the beginning. And in the next part, you'll discover who really owns these hidden routes you're about to sail. You walk beside Tomás as the weeks grind on, and the war doesn't explode in your face. It just quietly erodes everything. The official routes stay closed. Patrols grow tighter. Bridges that once carried trade now only carry rumors. The docks are a graveyard of idle boats, and Tomás' skiff sits among them like a stranded animal. Each morning, you can almost feel his hesitation as he unlocks his small shed, pretending there might be a new job pinned to the door. There never is. Credit at the grocer dries up. Friends who once smiled now avoid eye contact, afraid he'll ask for yet another favor. You can see it in his shoulders, that slow, heavy bend of someone who's running out of explanations. Not just for others, for himself. You felt that, haven't you? That point where temporary money problems stop feeling temporary, where every solution seems to cost more than the last. Then, one evening, there's a knock, too soft to be official, too late to be friendly. A man waits outside. No uniform, no insignia, just a coat that hides everything and a voice that sounds like it's used to being obeyed. He offers Tomás work. Cash up front. No paperwork. No questions. A short run along the back channels of the river. Avoid main checkpoints. Deliver sealed crates. Come back. Get paid. Simple. Except nothing in wartime is simple. You sense the tension in Tomás' gaze. The way it flickers from the stranger's calm eyes to the empty pantry, to the bed where his family sleeps. Hunger has its own clock, and it's already late. He takes the job. The first trip is quick. Too quick. The river feels wrong. Too quiet. Too arranged. Markers on the shore that don't match any official chart. Lanterns that blink in patterns, like secret signposts only a few are meant to read. And when Tomás returns, money in hand, he's given something else, a warning. You're on the king's water now, the man says. Every passage has a price. You might want to pause here. If this were you, would you keep going? If this story is making you think, tap like, so I know it's worth continuing, and stay with me, because in the next part, you'll see exactly how that king of routes starts to look a lot like the systems you navigate every day. You follow the king of routes men along a narrow pier, the planks creaking under your boots. The war feels closer here, distant artillery thuds, a sky stained with smoke, the smell of oil and damp rope. You keep your head down, pretending this is just another job, just another crossing. But inside, something doesn't sit right. They show you the cargo, crates nailed shut, no markings, no paperwork. You're told the destination, the time you must arrive, the amount you'll be paid. It's more than you've ever earned for a single trip. Enough to quiet your debts for a while. Enough to bring food to the table without counting each bite. Don't ask questions, they say. Just deliver. You agree, because you're tired of saying no to your own hunger. You agree, because fear of the next bill has become louder than fear of the unknown. The first run goes smoothly. Too smoothly. Payment comes in a thick envelope. No delays, no arguments, no excuses. And that's when you notice the trap, the ease of it. The way your shoulders drop. The way your mind whispers. If it was this simple once, it can be simple again. One trip becomes two. Two becomes five. By the time you start recognizing faces, other boatmen, drivers, even an officer or two, you realize something. Everyone here is in debt to someone. Not always in money. Sometimes in favors. Sometimes in silence. You start to see a pattern. Every route has a price, and that price keeps rising. A little more each time. A higher cut for the king of routes, a slightly smaller share for you. No explanation, just a shrug and a new fee. You do the math in your head, and it feels familiar, like interest rates creeping up on a late payment. Tell me, have you ever watched a bank statement or loan balance and felt that same slow tightening? If this story is resonating with you, stay with Tomás. The next crossings will show you exactly how this invisible toll system works, and how you can learn to navigate your own. And if you haven't yet, subscribe so you don't miss how this wartime maze reveals the hidden rules behind your everyday money traps. You're still at the oar, but the river no longer feels like water. It feels like a ledger. By now, you've run enough special deliveries to see the pattern. The same checkpoints, the same looks, the same envelopes changing hands in the dark, always flowing in one direction, never back to you. You're rowing through silence, but your mind is loud. You begin to notice small things. The way certain soldiers wave you through with a nod when you carry the right stamp. The way one warehouse is always empty on paper, yet always full at night. The same initials scratched under different docks. A symbol marked in chalk, here and there, whenever the tolls just went up. Price adjustments. At first, you try to ignore it. You tell yourself, I'm just a boatman. I just move cargo. But the war presses in, and the numbers press harder. Food doubles in price, then triples. People sell furniture to buy flour. You see neighbors shrinking in front of you, not from age, but from hunger. And yet, the king of routes grows. You see it clearly one evening when a desperate mother comes to the riverbank, clutching a small bag of coins. She begs for passage for a single crate of medicine. Not weapons, not luxury goods, medicine. The toll she's quoted? Everything she owns, plus a promise of more. You watch the negotiation unfold like an interest calculation. The king doesn't yell. He doesn't threaten. He just adjusts the tariff up, 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 as her fear rises. The more desperate she becomes, the higher the rate. Her need is the formula. Her panic is the percentage. And from your boat, it hits you. This isn't chaos. It's a system that profits from urgency, from confusion, from people unable to say no because saying no means going without. Sound familiar? Maybe you've never crossed a wartime river, but you've probably felt that same invisible pressure. That quiet toll added to your bill, your loan, your delay, the cost of being late, the price of not understanding the fine print. Have you ever felt taxed on your own fear? If this is resonating, keep watching. There's a way out of these invisible toll gates, and in the next chapter of Tomás' journey, you'll start to see how. And if you haven't yet, subscribe so you don't miss when the map finally starts to turn in your favor. You don't sleep much after that night by the marsh. You lie awake, staring at the ceiling, replaying every coin that passed through your fingers, every fee, every just this once. The king of routes doesn't shout, doesn't threaten. He doesn't need to. His power is quieter than that, like mold creeping along a damp wall. You barely notice it until everything smells like rot. And that's when it clicks for you. You start to see his system for what it truly is. Not a favor, not an opportunity, but a table of tariffs carefully designed so no one ever really gets free. Every route has a price. Every delay has a penalty. Every desperate person pays more. You grab an old crate lid and start scribbling numbers. How much you earn. How much you lose. How much goes straight into his pockets. At first it's just curiosity, but then the pattern appears, and it chills you. The more people depend on him, the more he charges. The longer they stay, the harder it is to leave. The small discounts are bait to keep them coming back. Sound familiar? In your world, it isn't called a smuggling route. It's called a service, a solution, a just sign here. Contracts with pages you don't read. Fees so small you shrug them off. Interest rates that don't look deadly until you add them up over months, over years. You've probably felt this, even if you never used those words. That creeping sense that no matter how much you pay, the balance barely moves. That your raise disappears into charges you didn't fully understand. That someone, somewhere, is always collecting a toll on your life. So tell me, have you ever looked at your own numbers, really looked, and felt that same unease Tomás is feeling now? If this story is pressing on a nerve, let it. Don't push it away. Sit with it for a moment. And if you want to keep following Tomás through these dark waters and quietly map your own way out of modern toll gates, stay with this series. Subscribe so you don't lose the thread. Because the next move he makes, it's the first real crack in the king of routes' invisible empire. You notice something start to shift. Not out there, on the river. Inside you. Because now, every time you see a toll gate, a fee, just a small charge, you can't unsee the king of routes. You can't unhear his voice. If you want to pass, you'll have to pay. Tomás feels it too. He's back on his boat, river mist on his skin, hands on the oar, but his mind is somewhere else. He's replaying every deal he made, every discount that always came with strings attached. Every time he thought he had no choice. And then it hits him. The king is strong not because he has boats, or guns, or soldiers. He's strong because everyone believes there is no other way, no other path, no other road, no other option. Sound familiar? How many times have you signed a contract thinking, that's just how it is? How many times have you swiped a card telling yourself, I'll figure it out later? How many times have you paid a fee, interest, penalty, and just called it normal life? On the river, Tomás begins to do something dangerous. He starts to observe. He times each patrol. He notes which inspectors look tired, which ones look scared. He maps currents, side channels, backwaters no one bothers to guard. While others complain, he collects data. While others curse the king. Tell me, where, in your life, have you been paying the king of routes without even noticing? If this is starting to click for you, tap that like. And if you want to keep traveling with Tomás and start redrawing your own financial map, hit subscribe so you don't miss the next chapter. You stand there with Tomás at the river's edge, watching the current slide past like time you can't get back. He's no hero carved in stone. He's just a person who got squeezed by a system that profits when you're desperate and silent. A system that charges you more every time you're late, every time you're afraid, every time you feel like you have no choice. Sound familiar? In your world, the king of routes doesn't wear a hat, doesn't rule from a warehouse, and doesn't collect envelopes by hand. He's hidden inside interest rates, service fees, fine print, monthly charges you don't remember agreeing to. He rules from your inbox, your banking app, your credit card statement. Every delay has a price. Every shortcut has a cost. Every silence has a tax. Tomás only starts to change his fate when he stops asking, "How do I survive this month?" and starts asking, "Who's really charging me for every turn I take?" He begins to read the river like you can read your statements. He tracks patterns like you can track where your money actually goes. He notices that the most expensive path is always the one chosen in a hurry, in fear, in shame. The routes didn't suddenly become kinder. Tomás simply stopped walking blind. And you? Where, in your life, are you paying an invisible toll just to move forward? A fee you've normalized, a rate you've accepted, a contract you've never truly questioned? If this story made you pause, even for a second, consider this your small act of rebellion. Don't let it vanish in the next scroll. Save it, like it, so it doesn't drown in the algorithm's current. Then ask yourself, honestly, what is one toll gate in your financial life you're finally ready to confront? If you want more stories that turn complex money traps into journeys you can actually understand and outsmart, subscribe. Not to escape reality, but to learn how to navigate it, like Tomás. Eyes open, map in hand, owning your route instead of paying for someone else's.